Welcome back, guys. Today we'll be quickly going through data entry in SPSS. We'll be looking at how to enter quantitative and qualitative questions. As we can see to our right, we have a total of 4 questions, so we'll start there. The first thing that we need to do is to give the variable a name, in this case, gender. Then when we come off that now, automatically everything is filled out for us. For type, what we usually focus on is numeric and string, because we usually enter quantitative and qualitative questions. So in this case, since it's quantitative, it's numeric. The width has to do with the number of values assigned to each response category. Decimals has to do with how many decimal places we want in the program, and label is really a description of the question that we are looking at. So in this case, what gender do you belong? We move to values now, and we recognize if we enter 1 8 times, we can't go beyond the width that we have set. Alright, so we want it in this case to have a value of 1 for male, which we have indicated in our question here. So 1 we enter for value, and we know that label is male, 2 is female, and so on. And then finally, 4 is refuse to answer. Immediately beside our values is missing, and we'll leave that out for now in terms of its explanation. Column has to do with how wide you want the width in your data view for each column. Alignment, think of Microsoft Word, so it's whether you want your values to be aligned to the left, middle, or extreme right. And measures has to do with level of measurement. We don't want rows, so we go to view and we disable that, since we don't use that for the most part. We don't use that. We move on to the next question, which is age. Age will not have a value because we haven't assigned anything to it. So this is another form of how we enter the data. In this case, we know that it's scale, and we know SPSS groups interval and ratio as scale. Moving on to the third question. Which province are you from, or where do you belong? It's the same line of questioning. In Jamaica, it would be which parish are you from? And since we are required to type our responses, we have to ensure that we change our type to string. So let me just type out the question and then go back. We're giving it a total of 30 characters, since chances are we won't enter more than that. All right, and then finally we will be moving on to explain your most favorite thing to do on the weekends. It's important to note that for number 3, we could provide codes for those responses and just type those in instead of keeping it as an open-ended question. But for example purposes, we leave it as an open-ended question. For number 4, it's a bit lengthy, so we bump up the number of characters to 200, so we give persons the opportunity to type. It's important to note that for the most part, except for when we're doing graphs using the graph function, the measures column doesn't really matter. All right, so how do we enter data? So we go to our data view, and for each response, each respondent goes across. So each respondent has 1 row for him or herself. So 1 we know would have been male, age can be 24, province, BC standing for British Columbia, and we could just type something here for respondent 1, something like I like to go swimming with my family. All right, then we'd move on to 2. Can give that person the age 30. That person may be from Ontario. Forgive me if I'm getting some of this incorrect in terms of province. It's just for example purposes. All right. What can we type here? Yeah, let's type Kingston. You love to have a cup of coffee in the evenings. So in essence, that's basically what we would be doing if we're entering each respondent in SPSS. So you can go ahead and enter all of those by yourself. But most importantly, whenever we're doing any form of survey or any study, it's important to have a questionnaire number, because that helps us to identify our respondents easily, and if an error is made, we can easily identify those. All right, so we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one value being assigned to each respondent, and that's basically it.